Hello guys, this is Colin and this is Colin Talks Crypto. If you've been with me for a while, you know that I like to do what I call EOS Mega updates, where I just gather all the latest information and cram it into one action-packed episode of Colin Talks Crypto. And I'm going to bring you one. It's been a little while since I've done this. Sorry to keep you guys waiting in the sidelines. I had a lot of other news to cover, but I'm back. This is EOS
Mega Update, Volume 14.
Today, we are going to cover a lot of topics. I'm going to try to do a concise coverage of all these topics because we have so much to cover. So today, we're going to cover everything from EOS holding the fourth largest market cap, a comparison of EOS and Ethereum market caps over the past year, EOS energy consumption versus Ethereum and Bitcoin, a major EOS overhaul idea by Dan, compare active addresses and transaction count on EOS to other blockchains. Mike Novogratz's Galaxy Digital invests $16 million into EOS game creation studio. New game, EOS Planet. EOS Charge displays your account transactional capacity. EOS Github activity compared to other cryptocurrencies. A glossary of EOS terms. Dan's comments on Ethereum's next hard fork. MyEOSwallet can send tokens and an update coming soon. Bancor and BancorX relay networks are live. Blockproducers.info, a graphical block producer rankings page. HireVibes airdrop. USD value of tokens sorted by value, EOS Dapp growth, and in regards to eosBLACK, was there an exit scam? Infiniverse, soon to go live, and you can bid on land now with the land map. EOS lost private keys update, some good news there. SimplyReg service saves unregistered EOS accounts. Block producer manipulation and scaling blockchain EOS conference. So that is what we're covering today. Let's get into it. So first up on our agenda today, EOS actually did rise to fourth place on CoinMarketCap rankings. And here it is, fourth place. It had a value of $2.95. It had climbed above Bitcoin Cash. This was the first time this had ever happened. Now, if we go back to CoinMarketCap, since then, it has climbed back down, but the fact that it reached that high is very promising. And you'll see right now that we are in sixth place. So we've kind of got a very close race between Bitcoin Cash, Stellar, and EOS. They're very close. You can see Bitcoin Cash 3.4 billion, Stellar Lumens 3.2 billion, EOS 3 billion. So this is anybody's race, and in my opinion, EOS is going to win this race. It's going to be eventually number 3 position easily within the next 1 to 2 years, and then we'll see about the top 2 positions. But I would feel certain on predicting that it will be number 3 in the next 2 years easily. With that in mind, let's look at the market caps. And I just want to make an interesting comparison because I've noticed this in my portfolio. It's been very pronounced. I invested in Ethereum way back in the day, and then I traded a lot of my Ethereum for EOS. And EOS has been the best trade I've done in a very long time. And the market caps will show that. So let's just take a slice from this. This was Ethereum's market cap on January 14th, $134 billion. Now, where is Ethereum today? Ethereum is $12 billion, $13 billion. That's a humongous drop, okay? And of course, all cryptos are dropping. That's about 1/10 of what it used to be. Well, what's it been for EOS? Let's do a comparison of the same date, okay? So January 12th, and we had $10 billion for EOS's market cap. Well, where is EOS today? $3 billion market cap. EOS only dropped from $10 to $3 billion. That's like a third. And Ethereum dropped 1/10 of its market cap. That's why in my portfolio, EOS keeps getting closer and closer to surpassing Ethereum because EOS is losing less value. EOS is maintaining more of its value over the past year. So in retrospect, I wish I had done more Ethereum to EOS. But if you've seen some of my other videos recently, I am accumulating. I do talk the talk and I walk the walk as well. So just recently, we had a huge spike downward and I saw EOS reach $2.90. Like most of you guys were wondering, where's the bottom, right? Like how long do we wait? But we don't want to miss out at the same time. So I saw it hit $2.90. I waited thinking maybe it'll keep dropping and it didn't. It went up to $3 and I thought, you know what? I don't want to miss $3 EOS. This is a really good price. Yeah, I can always buy more. I will. If it goes even lower than $3, I'm going to accumulate even more. But I got some at $3, and look at it now, it's $3.34. So I'm really happy with that purchase. Either way, I'm happy with that price because I know that EOS is going to hit $50 and eventually $100 per token. So that would be an enormous growth on a $3 token. At the end of the day, you have to think about, is it really worth waiting and waiting and waiting to get it for $2.50 versus $3. And when it hits $100, it's not going to be that big of a difference. You're not going to care. You're not going to look back from $100 EOS and go, God, I wish I'd bought it at $2.50 instead of $3. No, you're going to be completely happy with the fact that you got such an amazing deal on it. So that's part of dollar cost averaging into the market. Get it as it drops, and then you don't regret missing it entirely. So this isn't to say that EOS won't drop again with the rest of the market, and if it does, I'll be there buying it up. Okay guys, so let's move on to the next thing. EOS energy consumption versus Bitcoin and Ethereum. Obviously, this is a bit of an unfair comparison because Bitcoin and Ethereum are proof of work protocols. By definition, they burn energy to secure their networks. So that's a given, right? EOS is a delegated proof of stake protocol. It does not burn electricity to secure the network. So we're comparing different blockchains entirely. But I think it's still a very fair comparison because who's to say that proof of work is the best way to do it? Maybe it's extremely inefficient. And let's just see how efficient it is. So we're going to scroll down here. Now, Bitcoin is, of all countries on planet Earth, it's ranked 39th for energy consumption if Bitcoin were a country. It's right there with Austria and the Philippines. 39th place. That's a lot of frickin' electricity. And then let's compare Ethereum. We combine Bitcoin and Ethereum together, and that ranks 34 if it was a country. If Bitcoin and Ethereum together were a country, 34th place for energy consumption, right up there with Pakistan and Kazakhstan, Belgium. So now how does EOS compare to this? Well, we know it's going to be less because it's a delegated proof of stake, not a proof of work protocol. And here's the answer. EOS is 66,000 times more energy efficient than Bitcoin. 66,000 times more. And here's a graphical image to represent this. This is EOS, this thin little tiny blue line that you can barely see. And this is how much energy Bitcoin's using. Bitcoin is burning 73 terawatt hours annually. And EOS is burning 0.0011. And how about in comparison to Ethereum? Well, Ethereum is still 17,000 times less efficient than EOS. So guys, EOS I think is the future. I think proof of stake is the future. Proof of work has its place, absolutely. I kind of look at it like bootstrapping the ecosystem, and I'm also glad there's a diversity of different types of blockchains out there. Because again, we're in a very experimental phase with crypto. Which one's the best? Proof of work, proof of stake, or something yet to be discovered? I'm willing to say that probably proof of work is not going to be what we're using in 100 years from now. So EOS is vastly energy superior, and that does matter. At the end of the day, maybe you love Bitcoin and you love Ethereum's proof of work, and that's fine, but saving the environment is absolutely worth something, and it's definitely doing that with its very, very low energy consumption. So I thought that was very interesting. Thought you'd like to see that graph. Okay, guys, moving on. Dan Larimer wants to redesign the consensus protocol from the ground up. This guy, man, he just has ideas in the shower like every day. We're going to take this with a grain of salt because, as you'll see later, we're going to go through some of the Telegram messages and just really digest this. But let's just read this here. So Dan Larimer recently said, "What if I told you I've solved privacy and infinite scalability? What if I told you 10 million transactions per second with no fees? What if I told you no RAM or disk issues? What if I told you everyone can run a full node? What if I told you no voting or staking? What if I told you 200 millisecond confirmation times? What if I told you 2019? So, wow, sounds amazing, right? I mean, it's so amazing that it actually sounds like a completely new blockchain. I don't even know if this is EOS at all. And he alludes to that in his messages. Now, this user makes a very good comment, and it's sarcastic. He says, "Sounds reasonable now that we have BitShares 3.0, Steemit 2.0, Rex, a secure enclave hardware wallet, inter-blockchain communication, and multi-threading on EOS, etc., etc. Oh, wait. We don't have those things yet. So it's a very good point. Dan has proposed a large amount of things that yet have come to see the light of day. We do not have Steam at 2.0. We do not have BitShares. We do not have Rex. We do not have a hardware wallet. We do not have multi-threading. We do not have inter-blockchain communication. So that's why I say let's take this with a grain of salt. He's proposing some other kind of side companion, either blockchain or coin to EOS, because he goes on to talk about in Telegram how it won't have smart contracts. And I think he even mentioned something about how crypto fans will be upset with it because it's probably not decentralized. So of course you can create all these things on a centralized blockchain. I mean, that's what things like PayPal are and our current existing banks, or Ripple or things like that. Yeah, you can go really fast when you have no decentralization whatsoever. So I don't know exactly what he's thinking with here, but let's wait for him to complete some of these other things, and then maybe we'll talk about this creation here. But it could be exciting, and he does have a lot of great ideas. He says he's not leaving EOS. He's working on it hard. There were some people who apparently thought that maybe he was abandoning EOS. Not at all. He totally squashed that rumor. He says he's working hard on making EOS better every day. So he's fully committed and devoted, as he always has been, to making EOS great. And I want to read you one more comment. This is from Kickboxing Kangaroo. And again, I feel like this really summarizes my sentiment on what Dan just said there. He says, let's be honest, peeps. No one other than Dan and block.one really knows what's coming. Let's try to remain calm and see what happens. My money's on Dan and block.one, not those who just conjecture and make shit up. If you read through his comments, nothing was really said, only implied. And even then, it was still cryptic. Buy the hype, sell the news. Patience is a virtue. And I think that's really true. It's very cryptic what he's been saying. So we'll just wait and see. Dan, if you're watching this, let's get some completed products out the door. We want that secure hardclave wallet. We want BitShares. We want Steam It. We want the next generations of these things. We want some things coming to fruition. Give us resource exchange. And I did some searching on Telegram just to find the source of all Dan's comments to make sure that they were legitimate. And sure enough, I found them all here. So he talks extensively over the past few days about these new ideas. And here they are. See, he says, no smart contracts. What if I told you 200 millisecond confirmation time? What if I'm not kidding? 2019, nothing magical about it. What if no ICO? Better security for EOS. You can see he's still thinking about EOS here. And he says, not undermining EOS. He says, what if I told you crypto would hate it? He says, what if I thought this up in the shower today? And he also clarifies and says, for the record, nothing I said here tonight undermines EOS.io value proposition for apps. And here he says, I don't always shower, but when I do, I reimagine everything. And he clarifies here again, I'm not leaving EOS.io. On the contrary, I'm working to make EOS.io the most used, scalable, secure blockchain platform out there. He also says, I'm not changing EOS. Every day I'm working on EOS.io enhancing things. So again, that leads me to believe it's a separate platform. And then in usual cryptic fashion, Dan says, I cannot disclose implementation details. So he leaves us with a mystery. All right, guys, and moving on, I found this very cool site, coinmetrics.io. It lets you compare blockchains. This chart is going to show active addresses. And this red line is Bitcoin. As you know, it goes back to 2009. The purple line is Ethereum. So let's zoom in when Ethereum existed. See, there's more and more active addresses occurring as time goes on. And let me see if I can zoom in here. And then we go to EOS's birth, which is the gray line here. And blue line is Bitcoin Cash. And look at this. We have EOS equaling or surpassing Bitcoin Cash active addresses. And then also I wanted to show you guys transaction count. Similar thing, we're comparing the same blockchains. Now check this out. Let's go back a little bit. Again, the same colors for the same blockchains, gray as EOS. And at first, EOS was the lowest transaction count of these four. And then as time went on, EOS has rocketed upwards, and now it is number one. It is higher transaction count than Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, and Ethereum. It is number one on transaction count. In fact, I'm willing to guess if we add all other blockchains on here, I'm clicking every single one of them. Look at that. EOS is number one. It's the top of the chart still. None of these other lines are going above it. Number one, EOS, highest transaction count of all blockchains. Okay, and moving right along to some more very exciting news, Michael Novogratz, EOS fan and investor, tweets, Mike Novogratz's Galaxy Digital has led a $16 million funding round in Mythical Games, an Activision alum-founded blockchain game studio. And what's this all about? Well, the funding will support the company's first-to-market plans to develop and co-produce a slate of high-quality game titles on mobile, PC, and console, built around new player economies and user-generated content. The investment was led by Galaxy Digital's EOS VC fund, with significant participation from Javelin Venture Partners as well as DDC, Venbushi, Norris, and OKCoin joining the round. So guys, we're going to see a bunch of high-quality games. These are game creators that used to work for Activision, and they're going to be creating EOS blockchain-based games. This is tremendous news because I'm seeing an enormous amount of games being built on EOS. I'm willing to say that gaming is perhaps one of EOS's killer Dapp areas, and you'll see in the rest of the video why that might be the case. So they're working on games, but there's already some being made, and I'll show you those in a second. And let's just kick it off with this, EOS Planet. I'll let the video do the talking.
In episode 1 of our EOS Dapp Spotlight series, we take a look at EOS Planet. What is EOS Planet? It's a Minecraft-inspired virtual 3D world where players can run around freely, mine, build, craft, collaborate, and even fight over territory. If you aren't familiar with Minecraft, it's the #1 selling PC game of all time. It's a virtual Lego-type sandbox with the ability to build anything you want, from epic structures to entire cities. Someone even made a functioning cell phone inside Minecraft.
All right, guys, this is brought to you by EOS Nation. Awesome block producer, awesome creations. Check out that, EOS Planet. All right, guys, I found this cool site, eoscharge.io. And this is brought to you by EOS Authority. So you can type in any account name. It'll tell you exactly how much capacity you have to perform transactions and actions on the EOS blockchain. So here it tells you how much EOS you have staked for CPU actions, and here's how much EOS you have staked for net actions. Keep in mind you must have these things staked. And when you stake it, it reserves a portion of these resources on the EOS blockchain. And then it just gives you an idea of like how many things you can perform, how many actions you can perform on the EOS blockchain. So the number here in the bubble on the corner of each of these boxes is how many actions you can perform on this service. So right now, my account only has like 10 EOS on it, and there's only about 6.6 staked, okay? And with that 6.6 EOS staked, which at today's prices is all of like 18 bucks, something like that, I can perform 666 draw actions on Bet Dice. I can perform 172 actions of delegating bandwidth on EOS.io. I can perform 654 actions of selling material on EOS Nights, a game, etc. So you can see, guys, how many actions you can take. It's quite a lot. And this is a rolling number of actions over a 3-day period. Thank you, EOS New York, for continuing to bring awesome applications and services to the EOS community. And just to share the article with you that EOS New York wrote on this service, they said, EOS has many strengths. One of these strengths is the absence of transaction fees. Instead of transaction fees, staked EOS tokens grant you a claim to a minimum level of network resources. The problem is that many users don't know how much of these resources each transaction takes. Have you staked enough for CPU, net? So this site shows you that. Okay, moving on to our next topic. Longhash on Twitter has tracked the development activity of different coins in the first half of 2018. Unfortunately, they don't yet have a second half 2018 because we're not done with this year yet to see that development. But at least we can see the first half of 2018. And this shows all these different coins from Tron, Tether, Stellar, Ripple, Neo, Monero, Litecoin, IOTA, Ethereum, etc. And EOS is right here. It is number 2, only to Bitcoin, as far as GitHub activity for cryptocurrency projects. So it's actually even surpassing Ethereum's GitHub activity and development. A very cool creation from EOS Canada, a very simple creation. It's a glossary of terms that every EOS user should know. And it's basically like a dictionary that you can use. So if you were curious, what's a block producer? Then you can find out. And they have really good definitions. Block producers are teams around the world who create the blocks that make up the EOS blockchain. They are elected by the EOS token holders. 21 block producers create blocks, etc. You can have everything from Byzantine fault tolerance, active permission, if you were curious what the difference between active and owner permissions are, what's an account on EOS versus a wallet on another blockchain. Any of these terms, if you've ever wondered, you can look them up on EOS Canada's Glossary of Terms, eoscanada.com. And in typical troll fashion, Dan comments on Ethereum's future hard fork upgrade. He says, Ethereum's next hard fork is like the pot in Pixel Master. It will be postponed forever. So he's kind of trolling Ethereum, saying that they're never going to actually pull it off. They're going to keep postponing it. But you know, I don't know. I wouldn't talk so much trash about Ethereum. I think they're doing a great job. I think they're innovating in their own way. And I hope they do scale. And I hope they have a healthy competition for Dan's EOS. And I don't think that Dan really has any ground to stand on. I mean, they're doing a good job at keeping EOS updated. But like, EOS has still yet to implement its own constitution version 2.0 and things like Rex and these other things. So, you know, instead of talking trash about Ethereum, let's get our own services up and running. When you're on top of the game, you don't need to look back at the pack behind you. But right now, you're kind of barking on the heels of the number 3 cryptocurrency out there. And next up, I'm going to show you a very cool EOS account viewer. This is cypherblock.io, and you type in your account name, and I've just typed in a random one here. This is a very whale account. It has almost 500,000 EOS in it. And on the right side here, what they've done, and with my suggestion, which I'm really like thumbs up guys for implementing this, they've implemented a feature where you can toggle between the US dollar value or the EOS value of every single token on that account in descending order, so you know what your most valuable to your least valuable tokens are. And that's very useful if you want to sell any tokens or just evaluate how much you want to hold certain tokens versus what you'll get for them, either in terms of fiat or in terms of EOS. So a big shout out to cypherblock.io. I highly recommend it. Also, another service that also implemented a similar thing almost around the same time is eosflare.io, another one of my favorite websites because it's so blazing fast and it's been there since day one. Let's type in the same account number and boom, you'll see every single token is listed here. It's not sorted from highest to lowest, which is a feature I really liked from that last one, but you do see the US dollar value here and it shows you how many of the tokens you have here. It does not show you the EOS value of them. So if you wanted to convert any of your tokens to EOS tokens, you'd probably want to look at that other site. But again, this shows you the value, which is really, really helpful. So awesome job to both these sites, EOS Flare as well. Also, I want to give a shout out to AltShiftDev for creating MyEOSwallet. He continues to innovate on this, and you can actually send tokens from this website. Again, we're using, I wish this was my account, we're using this account to demonstrate how it works here. And you can basically, it says send EOS, but you can actually change the token value here. I didn't know this, to whatever you want. Let's say you wanted to sell your black tokens. You would type that, or whatever you would type in here, you know, HVT or INF, etc. And you can send those tokens to an exchange to then sell them. And AltShiftDev sent me this video where he's actually demonstrating a new feature coming up where you can allocate and balance between the RAM available when you buy and sell it. And he's showing here how you can change the amount, and in real time it's updating the amount of kilobytes going to be bought or sold and how much percentage you will then own on your account. So very cool. He's adding new features. He says in about 2 to 4 weeks these new features will go live on altshiftdev.com for the MyEOSwallet. Very cool stuff. My favorite wallet. And I only know of 2 that you can send tokens out there with right now. You can use EOS Toolkit or MyEOSwallet when you're sending them from a Ledger Nano S. Both of them have Ledger Nano S integration. The cool thing about MyEOSwallet is you do not need scatter to access your Ledger. It's a direct access to your Ledger Nano S. So my personal favorite, hands down, is AltShiftDev's MyEOSwallet. And in light of selling one's excess tokens and tokens one doesn't like, how can we easily do that? Well, Bancor makes it really, really easy with their Bancor and BancorX networks and relays. So we have actually 3 separate sub websites for Bancor. And if you go to eos.bancor.network, you'll see, and they're all at the top here. So you can go to BancorX, which allows you to transmit value between the 2 blockchains, Ethereum and EOS. Or they have a website if you just want to transmit value from Ethereum token to Ethereum token. Or on this site, eos.bancor.network, you can transmit value from EOS token to EOS token. And you do it all decentralized and all on the blockchain directly with a smart contract. So you don't have to give any identity. You don't have to go to a big.one exchange and give away your life information. You can just do it directly, privately, and quickly. And so here's the next site. This is the Ethereum one. And let's say you wanted to get some basic attention token on the Ethereum blockchain, but you wanted to pay with eosBLACK, for example. So first thing you do is you would convert your eosBLACK to Bancor BNT tokens, because the BNT token is the bridging token between the 2 blockchains. So if you want to move from Ethereum to EOS or vice versa, you have to transmit through BNT temporarily. So we would sell our BLACK tokens, we would get 782 BNT tokens, then we go over to the relay network and we would convert our BNT tokens on EOS to BNT on Ethereum. So now we would have moved those over. So then having BNT on Ethereum, we would then convert those to the BAT tokens that we wanted. And so you would select here BNT, and then you would select the BAT tokens. And that will basically convert them, and you will have then crossed over from the blockchain, gotten the tokens you wanted, never gone to a centralized exchange, never given away personal information, and done it all with the privacy and speed of a smart contract. Awesome, awesome service. I really highly recommend this. So if you guys have any extra EOS tokens from all these airdrops and you don't like it, or you don't know what it is and you just want to get rid of it, this is a really good way to do it. If you want some more EOS, if you want some more EOS-based tokens, or if you want some more Ethereum or Ethereum-based tokens. And this is blockproducers.info, a site that I personally created. And I just wanted to show you guys this again. I enhanced it a little bit. You can see all the block producers. And if you double click on the chart, it actually zooms out and shows you the top 50 current standings. So on the right side here is the position of each block producer as it stands today. It updates once per day. And you can see, let's just take one standout line here, this orange line. You can see that EOS Bixen Boot was ranked 26 for a long time. And all of a sudden, now they're up here at rank 12. I don't know anything about this block producer, so I can't speak on their credibility or not, but they certainly have risen a lot very suddenly. So it looks like they had some whales come in here and vote for them. But again, just a use of the tool is to track block producers and the changes so that we can see what the community wants and doesn't want, or what whales want and don't want. And we can track manipulation and also legitimate votes. So that's my site, blockproducers.info. And real quick here, HireVibes did an airdrop. Make sure you claim your HireVibes tokens. You can claim them a couple ways. I think one way is just by sending them to another account and back. Then that actually claims those tokens for you as well. You get a 1-to-4 ratio. This means, for example, as a holder of 100 EOS, you'll be able to claim 25 HireVibes tokens. This could be a promising airdrop and a promising token, so I recommend you claim it and get yours today. And I'll put this Medium post in the description below, so if you want to read on how to do it and all the details, you can find it in the description. This user, Vincent New, did a review of EOS's Dapp market. And as you know from dappradar.com, EOS is currently the #1 blockchain in terms of Dapp volume and user volume and number of users. And I thought this graph was really awesome. This chart shows the number of dApps and volume since inception. And it says 123 dApps went live since August 10th till October 30th, which is where this graph cuts off, totaling 220 million EOS, or $1.2 billion USD. So guys, if you just look at this graph, I mean, look at the trend of this. It's steadily climbing and increasing. And this bodes really well for the EOS Dapp ecosystem. Another reason, and one of the big reasons why I really enjoy EOS, because it welcomes with open arms dApps and can handle the transactional capacity that they need to perform. So a great chart from Dapp Review. If you remember in one of my previous videos, I was personally selling EOSBLACK because I felt it was highly overvalued and I felt comfortable with the prices that it was at to sell them for more EOS. And I did so, and I'm really glad I did. I'm glad for those of you who followed me, because some of you did it as well, because apparently EOSBLACK may have been an exit scam, but just based on the fact that the price plummeted suddenly, and I'll pull that graph up in a second, seems to indicate some manipulation or at least a whale dumping a massive amount. And this user, KeyZ, says, "This appears to be a pump and dump exit scam by EOSBLACK. Go look up their contract address on blocks.io. They, EOSBLACK, dumped everything. Looks like they sent tokens to Bancor elsewhere, and eventually it all went to a Korean exchange." So guys, it looks like EOSBLACK might have been a scam, and it looks like they sold all their tokens right here, 429,000 EOSBLACK tokens, all to Bancor to sell. And to show you the graph, let's pull that up real quick on CoinMarketCap just to show you what I'm talking about on the price. So you can see down here how it was very steady for a long time, around 26 cents. And that's actually, I sold around 25 cents. And then there was a little spike up and then boom, plummet all the way down to like 9 cents, 8 cents, 6 cents. And it's barely recovering now. So guys, I hope you got out while you could. It looks like it was an exit scam, EOSBLACK. It's a shame that there's people like that in this community, but where there's a way to make a dollar, there's always someone out there willing to be a criminal and take everybody's money. So there it is, the Wild West of the markets. All right, guys, some news for Infiniverse.net. I covered this in a previous video, and it looks like a very sweet augmented reality 3D game for iOS and mobile devices, including Android, that will allow you to interact with the real world and then overlay property and items and structures and interact with the community on top of it. And they are going live soon. And in light of that, they have a land map where you can buy land and you can register it and pay INF, which are Infiniverse tokens, to register some land. So let's take a look. And I found some really interesting bids here. If you look at the top bids, look at this. Some guy paid 142,000 INF tokens to register this piece of land. He's bidding on this piece of land, and I think there's a day that it's up for bid before someone else can outbid him. That's his annual cost of INF tokens, and the way he can make them back is by creating services or interactive things in his property and hopefully get that INF tokens back so that he can pay his rent for next year on that land. And so, very interesting setup. You can see there's a couple of users nearby him. This is just some random country that I'm looking at here, but that's the #1 property value right there, 142,000 INF tokens. We can click on them and see each one. Here's one for 6,000. Here's one for 52,000 INF tokens, etc. Should be a very fun game, and it's going live in 1 week. So grab your land, bid on it, and let's play some Infiniverse. Now, my only one qualm with this is that by getting some land, you can get it anywhere you want. People would often be inclined to probably get it near where they live. So then what we have is by tracing someone's INF tokens, they can see where you geographically are probably located, which is a little bit of a privacy concern. If you're smart though, you just either create another account or don't register land right near your home. But it's just something to be aware of. You know, if you register the property in your backyard or the front of your street because it's convenient to go look at it, that's great and all, but just know that those INF tokens have just kind of linked you and your account to where you live. And so you might not want to do that. Just think twice and think carefully before giving away your privacy like that. But I'm very excited about this game and it looks awesome. Okay guys, now for an update on recovering lost EOS private keys and accounts. If you lost your account, we've all been waiting for the ability to recover and regain access to our EOS because we have those Ethereum keys for the Genesis accounts that cryptographically prove our ownership. Otherwise, there would be no way to prove this. So there is foolproof evidence that many of us have that we own these accounts. And great news on this front. So we have EOS.wrap Part 1 approved by 15 block producers on October 2nd, and we have Part 2 approved on October 9th. By 15 block producers, which is the minimum needed. And these basically are the replacement for the pseudo super user account function that block producers need to be able to give you access back to your account. So that was the first step. Now it's starting to happen, and we have Blake Lagarde, who's in charge of the Telegram group of EOS Lost Private Keys, and he's written this bulletin basically saying how we need an automated system by block producers because there's many users out there who need this service. And his point is that it doesn't have to be a trusted service because we have cryptographic proof. We have Ethereum-based keys. And we should create an automated service because it will reduce the burden on block producers and ECAF if there's an automated system out there, because it doesn't require human intervention to prove Ethereum account ownership. It can be done by a smart contract. And so he's rooting for that, and I'm rooting for that. Let's get that done, block producers. We all want access to those accounts. We have hundreds, if not thousands of people out there who can regain access to their accounts. And that's just that many more users who can interact with the blockchain, get back their money, one big thing, and they can vote, among many other things. And we want them a part of our community. And I'm not fully at liberty to tell you who is getting access back to their accounts, but we do have our first EOS account users getting access back to their zombie accounts happening in a couple weeks, in early to mid-December. It'll be the first rulings on this case. So in my opinion, that's awesome because it's going to set the precedent for later rulings to then occur. And I think once those occur, then we'll start seeing automated solutions get put into place. I also heard that there may be a 15% fee, which to me blows my mind and seems completely ridiculous. But when we get it down to an automated system, those fees should drop. And so guys, I'm hoping we all regain access to our keys and we don't have to pay an arm and a leg for it. So things are looking up. Just stay patient and we will get there. 2019, we will have access back to our accounts, if not late 2018. And along similar lines, there are some accounts that just didn't register at all. They didn't lose their keys, they just never registered for the Genesis block. Well, EOS Rio has created a service called SimplyReg, which saves the unregistered EOS accounts. And apparently there's 19,587 wallets that did not register. Don't ask me why, maybe it was just too complicated. But that's a total of 3,300,000 EOS tokens that can be recovered here. And they have created a service, eosrio.io/simplyreg, and that allows you an interface to regain access to your account. So make use of that if you haven't already. And big thanks to EOS Rio. And just for proof, this is the first unmapped user retrieved access back to their account, 2,600 EOS. And here it is. It's the account Adam and Barry. You can tell because look, created by eosio.unregistered. So this wasn't created by EOSIO. This was created by a smart contract that regained access to this user's unregistered EOS Genesis account and allowed them to create a new account. And this is the EOSIO unregistered account itself, and you can see even to this day, it continues to be used by users on an automated basis to allow them to regain access to their EOS Genesis accounts that they failed to register for. And this is the exact same thing we need for those who lost their private keys to their EOS mainnet accounts. A very similar service to allow us to regain with cryptographic proof of our Ethereum keys. That's all we need. And moving right along, Kyle of EOSVibes, a very awesome guy with awesome YouTube channel, and I think he's a very commendable individual, has written a bit of a rant about a block producer. It's Start EOS, have launched a second block producer called games.eos. And that's a really interesting proposition. It brings to light the question of should a block producer be allowed to create a second block producer? And so now they have two. They have one that's in the top 21, and they have a second block producer, Games EOS, that's in the 50s. And so they're getting paid on both of these. And you know, while I don't think it's right, I don't know how you can stop something like this other than perhaps having it in the Constitution that it wouldn't be okay. And don't get me wrong, they're definitely breaking some rules here because they're buying votes by awarding game tokens on the second one in exchange for the votes. So I do believe there's definitely actionable behavior going on here. But that aside, it gets into a bit of a gray line because, you know, you could say, well, they own two accounts. Well, what if I owned a block producer? And then I was like, oh, my brother owns a block producer. It's not me, it's my brother, right? Technically, they're owned by the same group. How do you determine when it's right and when it's not right? What's the line that needs to be drawn? You know, what if it's my uncle's block producer and mine? Are they separate enough to be considered distinct and separate? So I don't know that you could ever really prove that to any market extent. So it'll be interesting to see if Dan comes up with any solutions on combating manipulation from block producers. Kyle brings up some very good points here, and I recommend you read his blog post on this. Again, I think that this falls back into we need more voters. Voters who will take action and vote. And we need to incentivize those voters because we need REX, as we've said many times throughout this video. We need the frickin' resource exchange more than anything, Dan Larimer, get on the resource exchange because we need voters and we need to incentivize those voters with rewards. And then when they vote, we will stop seeing as much block producer manipulation because we'll have a bigger voter turnout. So guys, push for that REX because I think that's one of the solutions to many of our considerations about how EOS is performing today. And lastly, I just want to give a shout out and major props to Investing with a Difference for hosting a conference, Scaling Blockchain. And it happened earlier this November 12th, I believe. And it was a bunch of great speakers, and he held it to, handle the FUD that's very prevalent in the community about EOS with some awesome speakers. So we had all these guys here, all able to speak and deliver awesome presentations at the event. I wasn't able to make it because I am so busy, but I would have loved to attend, and hopefully I will in the future. And this is all the partners that they had. And if you go to Investing with a Difference's YouTube channel, you can see many interviews that he did with all these different groups and all these different companies. So guys, we are at the end. We made it. This is the end of EOS Mega Update Volume 14. As you can see, I've been keeping track of all the latest news, cramming it into this video. Thank you so much for watching me. Please thumbs up this video. Please like it. Please subscribe. Please share. Please hit that bell icon so I continue to bring you more videos and you can get notified about them. And if this helped you in any way, send me a tip. Send me some EOS, or at least share the video. And I hope you guys are having a great day. Keep it classy and keep it EOS. And we are live. Okay, guys, testing 1, 2, 3. This is Colin Talks Mother Crypto. Take one.